Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mara Fatemi. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and happy Monday morning to all of you. First things first, I'm so sorry for coming on here a little bit late this morning. I just wanted to start off by saying that I apologize for that delay. But we got a packed show lined up for you guys, as always. Starting right off the bat, we're going to discuss the Game 7 that took place last night in OKC. OKC taking care of business against the Denver Nuggets, making short order of them. And honestly, this game was not close from the get-go. We have a lot to discuss here, but with this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder have set themselves up for a Western Conference Finals matchup against Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be we have a little bit to discuss there later on in the show, but just get ready for some fireworks in this series, to say the least. Let's just get ready for some fireworks, to say the least. But this is going to be an unbelievable series, and we have, like I mentioned, we're going to discuss Denver OKC, and then later on in the show, we'll switch gears over to that Western Conference Finals matchup. Who needs this series win more? Is it SGA or is it Anthony Edwards? We'll dive into that debate or dive into that topic as we get farther into the show. But from there, we'll also discuss the New York Knicks taking care of business against the Boston Celtics on their home floor in MSG in Game 6. Obviously, I came on here right before Game 6 on Friday and said, my brain says the Knicks, my heart says the Celtics. There's a reason they say always go with your brain. Always. Always. The New York Knicks were just simply they outclassed the Celtics in Game 6. It was not close. It looked like a G League going up against an NBA basketball team. It looked like a high school varsity team going up against a middle school AAU team. We have a little bit to discuss there as well, but it was not close in New York, and honestly, I'm going to leave it on that note. We'll discuss more as we get farther into the show about that. And finally, we'll close out the show discussing how there's going to be a new champion crowned in the NBA this year. All the previous defending champs are out. You have OKC, never been to a champ, never won. I don't think none of these four teams have been to the finals. So this is just a fresh group. This is the turning of the tides in the NBA. And it's the new generation of players. It's Anthony Edwards. It's SGA. It's Jalen Brunson. It's Tyrese Halliburton. This is the new generation of young players coming into the NBA. And this is their time. And they're ready to go. So this is going to be, we have an ecstatic finish to the regular season, or ecstatic finish to these NBA playoffs, and let's get the show on the road. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here, because this is a series. This is going to be one of those shows that we have a lot to unpack. It's always right after the weekend, after a long weekend with packed Game 7s, Game 6, teams making it to the next round, previewing a conference finals, 2 conference finals series. This is going to be, let's just dive right into it. Denver going into OKC last night, and let's just say Denver knocked on the door and OKC might have even responded and just given them a boot off their property. I don't even know how else to describe it. I was going to say they weren't even going to open the door, but the way that OKC played last night, my God, can that team beat anybody? That team that showed up last night against that Denver Nuggets team, the way that they forced the level of defense that they put on the Denver Nuggets. Do you know that the Oklahoma City Thunder had 16 steals as a team. Yes, I just counted them. I'm sorry. 16 steals as a team in Game 7. When I see that number, I don't know how you can beat that. You're playing against Nikola Jokic. You're playing against Jamal Murray. These are two of the clutch playoff performers in the NBA today. You limit Jokic to 20 points. Outside of that, Christian Braun was 19. Jamal Murray, 13 points. Shooting the ball, did not shoot the ball very well at all. Just like, I know how good, this is one of the Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the best teams in the NBA, hands down. But this was their best playoff performance in these playoffs, period. When you show up against they're not the defending champs anymore, but a team like the Denver Nuggets that won the title 2 years ago, still have that nucleus of guys that they won with, have a lot of playoff experience. You have to deal with Russell Westbrook. They bring in Russell Westbrook. They have an Aaron Gordon out there, which major props to Aaron Gordon. Playing with a grade 2 hamstring strain that came out over the weekend, and then everybody's saying he's doubtful to play. He's most likely not going to play. This is an injury that takes weeks to heal from. And then Aaron Gordon, tough as nails, comes out minutes before tip-off and says, I'll be available for the game. Aaron Gordon, I'm shocked that Aaron Gordon played in this game, and major props to him that he did. Yeah, just unbelievable game as a whole. But the Thunder just took care of business in this one. Plain and simple, 125-93, the final score. Second quarter, 39-20 disparity. Third quarter, 37-26 point disparity. That's what? That's 30 points right there between two quarters. And that was the game. The second and the third quarter defined this game because the Nuggets came out actually and took care of it. They were up by 15 early on in the game. Early in the first quarter, they took the lead. They took momentum, and as I'm watching, I'm saying, "Oh, Denver's gonna run away with this one. They have the lead. They're taking the crowd out of it." And then SGA showed up, and then the rest of the Thunder showed up, got their offense going, and absolutely stepped up their defensive tenacity. When you have 16 steals in a game, especially in today's NBA, you're most likely not losing that game. Especially in a Game 7. Especially on your home floor. When you play a defensive scheme like that, to that level of perfection, you're most likely not losing that game. But they didn't shoot. They shot 50% from the field. They shot 30% from three. They didn't shoot. Their shooting was not the reason they won this game. Plain and simple, like I said, it's the 16-6 steal ratio. It's the 22-9 turnover ratio in favor 22 turnovers to the Denver Nuggets. It was the points in the paint, which I thought I would never see. I'll shut that door in the next segment. I'm so sorry about that. But it's the point in the paint disparity with a 20-point 64-42 in favor of OKC. OKC just put a beating, absolute bad beating on the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. There's no other way to call it. If we want to give some love on the offensive side of the ball, of course, SGA showing up, dropping 35 points, doing his thing. We expect nothing less of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's been unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable in these playoffs so far. But the guy that deserves a lot of flowers, deserves a little bit of an apology from me, but at the same time, needed to step up. But he finally stepped up, and that's Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is a player that I've came on here and I said almost every game this series, he hasn't had more than 15 points in a game. 12 points, 14 points, 8 points, 6, 9. Just hanging around that 6 to 14 number. in that ratio for points per game in this series. And then last night he shows up and drops 24 with 7 assists and 5 rebounds, an efficient 24 points. Jalen Williams played like a legitimate number 2 option last night, and he proved why he can get that title. He just needs to continue to grow as a player, and I think he's gaining valuable experience. I think that Game 7 was incredibly valuable experience for him. A player like Jalen Williams in his second year, he's doing well, and he's grown tremendously since the start of the regular season. In the regular season, we saw him show up like a legitimate number 2 option. The playoffs, we saw some issues early on, but this is a great sign from him, and hopefully he can continue to bring this momentum into the next round against the Minnesota Timberwolves, because that is exactly who the Oklahoma City Thunder get next in the Western Conference Finals. It's a well-rested Minnesota Timberwolves team that is licking their chops. Anthony Edwards is ready to go. Julius Randle is ready to go. This is a Minnesota Timberwolves team that is out for the challenge, is welcoming the challenge, going up against a young group in the Oklahoma City Thunder. But we'll discuss more of this as the show goes along. I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears back over to the Eastern Conference. We saw the New York Knicks take care of business on their home floor in Game 6. And yeah, I got to give my eulogy to my Boston Celtics. It is what it is. I keep my fandom out of it, but major props to the New York Knicks. They showed up and showed out in Game 6. The Celtics look like I said at the top of the show, the Celtics look like an AAU team last night going up against a high school basketball team or even a college basketball team. It was not close. We'll discuss more about this in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Matt Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the New York Knicks taking care of Game 6 against the Boston Celtics on their home floor, and in what was honestly it was just a decisive win. If last night's Game 7 was a decisive win in Denver, what do we even call what the Knicks did to the Celtics? Beatdown? I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. But the New York Knicks just putting it on the Boston Celtics in Game 6. Plain and simple. It was not close at all. It was worse than this one. It was just a beatdown. It was a beating. The Celtics got outclassed in Game 6. And it is what it is, but like it showed the injury to Jason Tatum shows a lot for this team with their scheme, with how they play. The whole it was apparent before the game started, and we had no idea just how bad it would be, but it was really bad. It showed itself in Game 6. But we'll discuss all about this. We'll discuss further throughout this segment. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here, because this is a game that, honestly, I probably should have expected as a Celtics fan. Major props to the New York Knicks as they make the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. And honestly, just congratulations. Congratulations are in order. There's nothing else to say. Any Celtics fan that points the finger at New York and says this, that, and the other, just stop, bro. Just stop. What are you gonna gain from it? The Celtics just simply got outclassed by a better team in the New York Knicks that is healthy, is young, is tenacious, is scrappy. In general, just a better team. Top down everywhere. Depth, scoring, defense. Every category possible. The New York Knicks outplayed us. Outplayed the Celtics. 119-81 being the final score. And I literally mean it when I say it wasn't close. It wasn't close. You had multiple 20-point quarters. You had one 17-point quarter. When you have the other team that's going off for 26, 38, 28, and 27, those were the 4 quarters scoring-wise, you're not winning. You're not winning this game. Jaylen Brown, I'm going to leave the news that came out about Jaylen Brown for the next segment, but it came out recently over the weekend that Jaylen Brown actually partially tore his ACL at the end of the regular season. And we did hear some reports of Jaylen Brown rehabbing that knee, going to doctors, getting cortisone shots, doing the best that he can to give his team a chance on the floor to win. And he still played phenomenally. 20 points in Game 6, 26 and 12 in Game 5. He still had a decent series and a decent playoffs. But his injury was there, and it lingered, and he played phenomenal basketball. To play with a partially torn ACL the way that Jaylen Brown did, the way that he stepped up for his team, there's nothing else to say but major props to him. Because same way that we spoke of Aaron Gordon, you just got to say tough as nails. I was trying to remember what I said. That was the analogy that I used. Jaylen Brown is equally, if not more, equally as tough. We're not getting into that conversation. But on the other side, when you have the Knicks, OG Anunoby going off, leading the team with 23 points. You had 4 guys go off for 20-plus points for the New York Knicks. You had 6 guys have over 10-plus points. You had 2 guys with double-doubles. Josh Hart with a triple-double. OG Anunoby 1 rebound away from a double-double. Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns was the other guy with 21 and 12. This is a team that is going to be around for a while. Plain and simple. The New York Knicks have pretty much just announced themselves as the creme de la creme of the Eastern Conference. They may not be the most talented. They may not. On paper, at least. You may have the teams like the Celtics with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. And honestly, it's going to depend on how this Eastern Conference Finals goes. But in terms of overall skill on your roster, like in terms of star talent, the Knicks have that. The Knicks are fine in star talent. They have the scoring. They have the guys. They have the eye candy to bring in viewership. You have a phenomenal starting lineup, even though I think their bench is a little bit weak and that they can be taken advantage of there. Tom Thibodeau loves to bring out a shallower bench, so it should be fine. But yeah, the Knicks, major props to the Knicks. They beat the Celtics fair and square in 6 games, go into the Eastern Conference Finals in a rematch with the Indiana Pacers. Now, this is something that I'm actually kind of interested in, because the last time that we saw the Eastern Conference, or not the Eastern Conference Finals, last time we saw these two teams square off in the playoffs was last year. And it was the Indiana Pacers pretty much dominate. It went 7 games, but it was a hobbled. Oh my God. My voice is shot, by the way. I'm sorry, guys. It was a hobbled New York Knicks team that was dealing with a lot of injuries. You had Jalen Brunson hurting his wrist in that series. I'm trying to think back who else got hurt. I'm pretty sure Dante DiVincenzo also got hurt. Mitchell Robinson also got hurt for a short period of time. It was just an injury-struck New York Knicks team, and especially without Jalen Brunson. He is the guy that leads that team. Without him, this team is maybe a play-in team, maybe. Probably hanging around, probably a play-in team. If that just puts it in perspective, how important he is to this offense. He's a phenomenal player, plain and simple. But Jalen Brunson versus Tyrese Halliburton in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's 2 smaller market teams, but this truly is the turning of the tides in the NBA. This is the next gen of NBA players going to compete for their first NBA championship. And we're going to discuss that later on in the show. But it starts here. New York Knicks, Indiana Pacers. And I'll give a little bit of my prediction as we go farther into the show as well. But for now, it's the Knicks on top of the Boston Celtics, going back to the Eastern Conference Finals. And honestly, they've done it in spectacular fashion. Who knew that they were going to... I said they were going to lose to the Pistons in 6 games. I said they were going to lose to the Celtics in 5 games, even though Jason Tatum got hurt. But the Knicks were up 3-1 in this series, or 2-1, pretty much 3-1, before Jason Tatum got hurt. They were probably going to lose Game 4. You have to give the Knicks credit where credit is due. They showed up in this series. They played their heart out, and that was probably the best New York Knicks basketball I've seen out of them in the last at least 5 years. I haven't seen this team have the amount of playoff success that they're having right now in my lifetime. I haven't. Partially because they haven't made it this far before, but this is a team that's known for blowing leads, blowing 3-2 leads, losing against beating some of the more less talented teams, and then losing to higher competition. They can always beat down on the bad teams, but the second a good team rolls around, like the Celtics, the Pacers, the Thunder, the Cavs, they just wilt. So if you're the Knicks, major props to them. And they're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they deserve it. And it's going to be an unbelievable wild ride throughout that Eastern Conference Finals series. And I can't wait to start seeing it when Game 1 tips off on Wednesday. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we talked about the New York Knicks side of things, and we kind of focused on that for a reason. In my next segment here, we're going to switch gears over to the Boston Celtics. We're going to discuss more about that Jaylen Brown knee, talk a little bit about Kristaps Porzingis, and talk about Boston Celtics off-season plans, because this is a team that's now... We'll discuss this in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears. We talked about the New York Knicks and their series against the Boston Celtics, and we focused the last segment solely on the New York Knicks, on their win and their new Eastern Conference Finals matchup in the next round of the playoffs. Now, it's only right that we switch gears and give the other side of things. This is a Boston Celtics team that honestly, a lot of people in the NBA did not like in terms of fans. We saw it, I personally saw it everywhere, taking over social media, everyone preying on the Celtics' downfall. Jason Tatum, this, that, and the other is not a superstar, gets a lot of hate, this, that, and the other. And we're not here to discuss that, and because you see so many sports shows today discussing, or is Jason Tatum get too much hate? Are the Celtics underappreciated? This, that. You hear that question too many times. But that's not what we're here for. In this segment, we're going to discuss the offseason for the Boston Celtics, because there are dark times ahead. That's why if you see my tone kind of changing a little bit, it's for a reason. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in Boston right now. Not only have you lost your number one guy for the next 2 years to a catastrophic Achilles injury, and an injury that will put him sidelined until at least April, and unless for whatever reason Coach Mazzulla decides to bring him in for the playoffs, which would be crazy. It would just I think it would just ruin the chemistry of the team, and just don't do it. Just don't do it. Plain and simple. Don't do it. It's not going to work well. It's not going to work out, period. But you lose Jason Tatum to a devastating Achilles injury. Long-term injury that will put him sidelined out for a while. Then there was the news of Jaylen Brown. And this is the reason why Jaylen Brown's news is so huge. This is your number two option, your other $300 million man that you paid to in situations like this if Jason Tatum got hurt. Now, there's no timetable on exactly how long Jaylen Brown will be out, but this is still a partially torn ACL. This is not a small injury at all, and it's most likely going to need orthopedic surgery. If he doesn't get surgery, first of all, I don't know why he wouldn't, but if he doesn't, he's going to just fully tear it in the middle of the regular season. And I don't hope that on anybody, but I'm just saying, if something's already partially torn and you're just going to ask the body to heal it for you, and you're going to just do therapy and try and work through it, like Jaylen Brown, Jaylen and a lot of players in the NBA would do that from time to time. For whatever reason, they do that. If you're Jaylen Brown, just get the surgery. Just get, I'm not the doctor here, and I know I'm not a doctor, but I think I can speak for anyone and just say, just get the surgery. Do not risk it. Any Celtics fan, just don't risk. Because this is a team that needs you right now. It needs you to be healthy. It needs you to be back. It doesn't have to be timely manner, but at least with an ACL tear, you'll be back in 6 to 8 months. That might be pushing it a little bit, but you should be back around January. Well, let's think about it, actually. Kyrie when did Kyrie tear his ACL? It was either February or March. It was either, I don't even want to look. I think it was February or March. And his timetable set to return is January. Let's say Jaylen Brown does end up getting the surgery. It's so hard. There are dark days ahead for the Boston Celtics. This is why I'm saying this. Jaylen Brown, if he is, based on the logic that I just put out there, if Kyrie's injury went from February to January, it was an 11-month timetable. It's an 11-month timetable right now. Let's just even say that's going to be Jaylen Brown's. He's not back until March, April. And even then, do you want a Jaylen Brown, similar to what Jason Tatum would do, to come in and just absolutely wreck the chemistry of the team? So, that pretty much sets it right there. It puts it into perspective. Because this is a Celtics team that needs bodies. We're losing star talent left and right. We're losing Al Horford, most likely to retire in the offseason. Most likely. It's not confirmed. But he's 39 years old. He got his NBA title. He is one of the most underrated big men in not only Celtics history, but I think in the NBA in his career. He should go down as a Hall of Famer. Well, probably not, actually. I take that back. Hall of Famer's kind of crazy. But he got his championship. Like, he's fine to ride off into the sunset. But that's Al Horford. Then there's the other big man. What's going on with Kristaps Porzingis? We're hearing news that he's sick. I think I still have it. I'm going to read this quote off to you guys because somebody posted this. I just don't know whose news this is. Oh well. But basically, what's being reported right now out of Boston is the illness that sidelined Kristaps Porzingis has caused him pain in the abdomen, pain while swallowing, dry cough, fatigue, fever, loss of appetite, malice, night sweats, sweating, nausea, persistent diarrhea, vomiting, ulcers, and beyond. I'm going to leave it at that note, but it keeps going. You see the track I'm going with this. And it's being labeled as a upper respiratory injury. I don't know about you guys, and I'm not the doctor. I cannot wait till we hear more news about this because this is news. This is an illness that we've heard about for the last 2 months with this guy. Throughout the playoffs, we heard he was dealing with an illness. Throughout this series specifically, it came out more prominently because we saw him getting dominated on the boards by Mitchell Robinson, by Karl Anthony Towns, and we saw him taking a step back, or we saw Joe Mazzulla sitting him in the second half. Why? Because the guy literally can't breathe when he's on the court. You can't do anything. When you're sick like that, you cannot do anything. Your body just shuts down. And it literally sounds like Kristaps Porzingis' body is shutting down. Like it's incredibly I don't want to start saying things. Basically, it feels like an immunocompromised illness, whatever it is. That's what it sounds like. Whatever it is, it's not attacking his immune system. And that's like any virus, but this is one that is attacking every part of his body. Every part. So, I'm not going to get into any conclusions. That post did have a prediction of what he might have. Honestly, I'll come out and say it. I think there's a strong chance that Porzingis contracted HIV because it lines up with a lot of the symptoms, and that was a prediction that post had attached to it, that report. In terms of what he might have. That's good. That's the speculation that's going around the NBA right now. Whether it's that, whether it's possibly cancer, whether it's mono, I don't know what mono's real name is. I've just always called it the mono illness growing up. I know it has some crazy. It's one of those long names, but short we just call it mono. Basically, mono. It's one of those illnesses that doesn't really make you sick. It just makes you incredibly fatigued. You have no energy for anything. You can't get out of bed, and it just lingers for 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes longer. So that was my original prediction before I even saw reports like this earlier this week when I first heard about this illness that he was suffering from. That's what came to mind. Not the flu, not COVID. I thought mono first. And then these other symptoms came out. And now, when it's one thing to have symptoms here sporadically, it's a whole other thing when you have a little symptoms here, a little symptoms there, and you jumble them all into one giant category of symptoms. Giant list. That literally, it's like a list. I would show you guys, but I would get copyrighted on here, and I don't want to do that. It's just sad. So that's another $120 million player on the Celtics payroll. It continues to prove my point. The Celtics have dark days ahead of them. No Tatum, no Brown. You have Porzingis dealing with a mysterious illness. You have Al Horford retiring. You hear rumors that the ownership is looking to cost cut this roster. You're hearing rumors that Drew Holiday might get traded. Kristaps Porzingis might get traded. Possibly a Jaylen Brown. Rumors about a Jaylen Brown could be traded. Even though I don't think he will. But it's been going around. In terms of the offseason, I think if you're the Celtics, your first order of business, go after a center. Get a big man in Boston. If you can get a real, legit rebounder for this team, I think the Celtics could be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I really think they can be if they put all their if they can put their ducks in order. They still have Derek White at the helm, who's an incredibly talented point guard. You have Peyton Pritchard, who's an incredibly he's an incredibly talented shooter, winning the Sixth Man of the Year for the Boston Celtics this year. Whether that's going to stay with the injury to Tatum and Brown, whether he moves up to the starting lineup, whatever it might be. But this is a Celtics team that is ready to go. And yeah, they're just ready to go. If they can get their guys, if they can get their ducks in order and they can get if they can get a center in a trade, I think they can be okay. But in terms of winning a championship, any thought of that has to be pushed to 2027, I think. At least without Jason Tatum in the lineup, it's not going to happen. Jaylen Brown can't do it by himself. Unless you bring in another superstar talent and make a big three in Boston, which I don't want to see, but the only way I see the Celtics having maybe a chance is if you can somehow get your hands on Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I've said it on the show before that the Celtics have the assets to do it, and they have Porzingis and Brown and Drew, and they can pull some draft picks together and send it to Milwaukee. They might accept it. I just think there's teams out there like Brooklyn, like OKC, that have better valuable assets, or at least they have long-term value. The Bucks don't need short-term value. They don't need immediate players. They don't need immediate talent. They need long-term talent. They need to grow this team. They need to rebuild this team with young draft picks. And if that's what you want to do, I think you have to go after that. I'm so sorry. You have to go after that first round pick. You have to go get those first round picks. That's just my take on it. But yeah. Celtics offseason. Celtics look like they have some dark days ahead. No Jason Tatum, no Jaylen Brown. 2 seconds. I'm so sorry, guys. That door, I didn't shut that door before. But going back to what I was saying, this is a Celtics team that just they need to figure it. I know Brad Stevens is one of the best executives in the NBA, but he has his work cut out for him this offseason because dealing with ownership, dealing with the fan base, dealing with what Coach Mazzulla would like, dealing with the locker room. There's a lot of moving parts here, and somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get their feelings hurt. And it's probably going to be the fans. I hope I don't see Jaylen Brown on another team, because that would be off if I have to see Jaylen Brown on another team. But yeah, that's just the state of the Celtics right now. We'll see how this all shakes out as we continue to as we go along with the rest of, as we approach the offseason and move through the offseason. This is a topic that we will continue to revisit. But yeah, regardless, Celtics out of the playoffs. New York Knicks bounce them out in 6 games, and the Knicks on to the Indiana Pacers in Game 6. That series starting on Wednesday, shockingly. We'll talk about that. I had a thought we'll talk about later in the show, though. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears back over to the Western Conference and discuss Anthony Edwards versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Which superstar has more to gain in this series with the series win? And yeah, pretty much we're going to discuss Ant-Man and the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Probably preview that series, honestly, a little bit. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears back over to the Western Conference Finals and discuss Ant-Man versus SGA. Who needs this series more? Which superstar has more to gain in this series? And honestly, we're probably going to preview this series a little bit. I'm going to try and stay off of it just because I want to leave that topic for tomorrow's show, and I don't want to kind of repeat myself. But honestly, I can repeat myself. If you guys want to be here tomorrow, for the new guys that won't be that are here and won't be here tomorrow, for the new guys that aren't here and will be here tomorrow, we'll just discuss it twice. But Western Conference Finals are set. It's Ant-Man and the Minnesota Timberwolves going up against SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder. For the Timberwolves, they've had to go through LeBron James and the Lakers, took them out in 5 games. They went through Steph Curry and the Warriors, even though it's not really Steph Curry and the Warriors, it's more Jimmy Butler and the Warriors because Steph was hurt for most of the series. And then now they get the Oklahoma City Thunder. On the other side, you had the Thunder go up against the Memphis Grizzlies, made short work with them. And then had to go up against obviously a Denver Nuggets team that came off of a long series against the Clippers and took care of them in 7 games. Nuggets did their thing, gave themselves an opportunity in Game 7. But honestly, it was the play of SGA and the Thunder that really pointed out. Just recently, last night, there was a quote that Aaron Gordon said that kind of sparked my interest. I saw it in between the break just now. Aaron Gordon said this right after the game, and honestly, it makes sense. I'll explain my thoughts after I read it. I would really, really appreciate it if there were a couple days in between games in the playoffs instead of every other day. The product of the game would be a lot better. You'll see a higher level of basketball and probably less blowouts. Now, That's coming from a player in Aaron Gordon who just suffered a grade 2 hamstring strain. A player that is most likely going to be out weeks in terms of with his injury. I've always said it. If there is an injury, if there is one injury that just takes the longest time to heal for whatever reason, especially like minor injury wise, it's a hamstring strain. You could say it's the calf because it can lead to Achilles. You could say it's your shoulder because sometimes it can lead to shoulder surgery and you can ruin your shoulders. You could say hip, even though I would call hip a little bit more major. But outside of the shoulder, maybe, and the calf are the only two I can really think of off the top of my head. The hamstring is the worst injury to have. It's basically unplayable to play with. It's beyond painful. It sucks. You can't move for weeks. You're pretty much planted on the couch, icing it time after time after time. Heat pads to ice therapy. Hitting physical therapy as much as possible. You really can't do much on a hamstring strain. Really can't. So, I mean, I get it from Anthony Edwards, from Aaron Gordon's perspective. I also think another reason why he was asking for that is, honestly, it's the way that the Thunder play. And it's the same way that the Indiana Pacers play. We saw what they did to the Bucks, taking care of them in 5 games. We saw what they did to the Cavs, taking them. Was it 5 or 6? I think. Why do I think it was 6 games? Was it 6 games, or am I making that up? No, it was 5 games. Okay. I was gonna say I thought it was 5, but for whatever reason, something told me it might have been 6. But regardless, the way that the Pacers play, the way that the Thunder play, fast-paced transition basketball, using their depth to bring in fresh guys constantly. It's like a revolving door. It's like clockwork for this Thunder team. There's no guy on the team that's really getting all the minutes. You're not really seeing 40 minutes out of any guys. You're not seeing any guys go over like 32, 33 minutes a game. Maybe SGA sometimes, just because in those close games you need the reliable scorer. But say that the Thunder have like a 10-point lead. We saw them in game which game was it? I think it was game 5. No, it was game 4. It was in Denver. That I don't know coach's name. I always mess up the Thunder coach's name. But coach pretty much put SGA on the bench to close the third quarter and start the fourth quarter. Something that a lot of people were kind of shocked about, including myself. And then, of course, the Nuggets went on a little bit of a run to start the fourth. But the second they brought SGA back in, it was like the Thunder's offense flipped the switch again. It's the offensive talent that this team possesses. The way that they're able to go 10-man deep into their rotation, that can score 10+ points. You have maybe not 10 guys that can go 10+, but you have the Thunder and Pacers both have 7 or 8 guys that can go 10+ points a game whenever they want. Whenever they want. We saw multiple guys have 20-point games to the Thunder. We've seen the Pacers have multiple games. I think I don't remember how much they scored in that game 3. I think it was like 7 or 8 guys that went off for 10+ points. Regardless, it just continues to prove my point why this Thunder basketball is incredibly difficult to plan and play with. It's play against, not play with, but play against. Because if you don't have the depth, they're just going to run you off the floor. It's like a track meet. They're distance runners going up against short distance runners. It's like putting a 400 meter or 200 meter sprinter and ask him to go run the 2 mile and pace himself. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Thunder are ready to go with the pacing, but the Nuggets just simply weren't. They're top heavy and they have to play their starters more often to keep the lead from blooming into something that's uncontrollable. But yeah, I think to answer the question that's here right now, I really think Anthony Edwards has cemented himself as the legend killer. I really think he has. Taking out KD, taking out LeBron, taking out Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, taking out Nikola Jokic last year and the defending champs last year. I really think Anthony Edwards has really already grown and has kind of a solidified reputation as the legend killer right now. And nobody really expected the Timberwolves to get as far as they have already these playoffs. But, and that's a big but, as much as I love Anthony Edwards, I think I have to say SGA. SGA is a player that this is his second year in a row bringing his team to the best record in the Western Conference, solidifying the 1 seed. This is the second time. Well, last year they lost in the second round. This is their first Western Conference Finals with a young team that has a lot of expectations. They're the favorites to win the NBA championship. For whatever reason, I don't understand how the Thunder are here and everybody else is like here. It doesn't make sense to me. I understand they're a good team, they're a great regular season team, but we saw this team have struggle in the playoffs. We saw them almost lose 2 games against the Grizzlies. We saw them I don't think they got blown out in any of the games, but they played pretty tough. They played it very tough against the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets played them very tough, and I think that was a great booster for them. But SGA needs to step up. Maybe not step up, but he needs to keep the momentum that he has. He had multiple 30-point games, which was really nice to see. He didn't have any 40s, but it's the playoffs. The games slow down, especially with how the coach, like I said, loves to mess with the rotation of the team, rotation of the guys in the starting lineup. Or when you have a 10-man rotation, SGA just doesn't get as many minutes to get to that 40-point threshold. But I think SGA has more to prove, has more to gain. Obviously, if Anthony Edwards wins, that would be crazy and nuts. Part of me says this is kind of 50-50. You could just flip a coin for it. But if I had to definitively pick one, I'd probably pick SGA with who needs the series more, just based off of the regular season success and beyond. I think it's also because of the expectations that have been thrown on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to leave it on that note just because we can talk about that for a while. But yeah, that series kicks off tomorrow night at 8:30. And I actually did pretty well previewing this because now I kind of stayed within the overall hype, so to speak, about this. Tomorrow when we're previewing, we'll get into the nitty-gritty parts, keys for both of these teams, and who will win game 1. A little preview of tomorrow for tomorrow's show. But, yeah, I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears to the NBA as a whole. With all the previous champions now taken out of the picture in the NBA, all the 4 teams left. Yeah. Well, no, the Timberwolves were in the Western Conference Finals, but outside of the Timberwolves who made the Western Conference Finals last year, and the Pacers actually, this is the first, none of these teams have made the NBA Finals, and none of them have won an NBA Finals. So we are crowning a new champion. With the playoffs right on our doorstep, I'm going to give a little bit of a pre-conference finals prediction, give a prediction for both of these series, what to expect, just brief keys to the game for both of these teams, for both of these series, and yeah, we'll discuss a new champion being crowned in the NBA. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mara Fatemi. Getting into our last segment of the show here, we are going to discuss the state of the NBA, really. A new champion will be crowned at the end of this NBA season, regardless of what happens. With the Denver Nuggets now being eliminated, they're the only team that previously was champion. A lot of these guys don't really have champions on their teams. I lied. I already lied. Pascal Siakam's won a championship. So I'm going to scratch that. But these are teams that haven't even been to the finals yet. None of these teams have. The Timberwolves and the Pacers were in the conference finals last year, but both of them got bounced out. With the Celtics in 4 games and the Timberwolves in 5 by the Dallas Mavericks. But yeah, there will be a new champion crowned at the end of this regular season, is basically what I'm saying. And I kind of want to give my pre-conference finals predictions. So let's get right into it. Starting with the Eastern Conference, this is a wild series. This is the New York Knicks, a feisty, scrappy team, possibly playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference. In terms of grit, in terms of grind, being able to play a full 48 minutes. Yeah. But this is a team that's playing a full 48, playing probably the best at playing a full 48 minutes, making sure that they're staying fresh, making sure that they're honestly also getting healthy right now. They really are. They're getting the health. Jalen Brunson getting the health and rest that he deserves, resting up that ankle. We saw Karl Anthony Towns have a little bit of a hand injury. I don't remember if it was a hand or finger. I think it was game 4. You just saw him. If you guys look it up, there's just a cutscene of him holding his 2 fingers and saying, I think he said I broke it, but regardless of what he said, he's still playing phenomenal basketball. Regardless, both these teams are getting tremendous rest right now in the Knicks and the Pacers. But I am lying if I'm saying I don't love the Pacers in this series. I think the Pacers, I know I said literally 30 seconds ago the Knicks are playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference. When I said that, I meant in totality, in terms of full 48 minutes, being able to stay in games, being able to scrap their way into wins, coming back, having multiple 20-point comeback wins. Just playing unbelievable, just determined basketball. I don't know how else to describe it. But I think the Pacers are playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference right now. They're pretty much like the Oklahoma City Thunder of the Eastern Conference right now. I really think so. I think this Pacers squad, led by Tyrese Halliburton, the way that he makes the guys around him better, the way that he's playing incredibly well right now. Please don't, I keep saying this, and one of these days I'm going to get called out for it, but I'm going to still say it today until this Pacers team loses, most likely. Tyrese Halliburton is playing like a young Magic Johnson without the Magic Johnson defense. If you think of the way Magic Johnson played the game of basketball, the way he was able to make the guys around him better, the way he was able to pass, shoot the ball, get to the basket at will. Tyrese Halliburton is so stealthy, he's long, he's athletic, he's tall, he's incredible wingspan. He slithers through the lane like a snake, and then he just flicks it up off the glass with such finesse. And the way he's able to pass, the way he's able to make the guys around him better, like I said, play incredibly unselfish. He just reminds me of a young Magic Johnson reminds me of a young Magic Johnson without Magic's defense. He obviously can't play the level of defense that Magic played, and I 100% understand that. I'm not arguing that. But I think the Pacers have easily one of the best offenses in the NBA right now. Easily. Absolutely easily. This is a team that's honestly, I don't know exactly what the numbers are in terms of rating, but I know that they have one of the best offenses in the league, and they're playing phenomenal basketball. All around, all phenomenal basketball. But yeah, I'm probably gonna roll with the Pacers in this series in 6 games. It's so tough. I think it goes 6 or 7 games easily, but I think I got the Pacers coming out in this one. I really think I do. Um, but yeah, switching gears over to the other series in the NBA in the Western Conference, we have the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. I said I wasn't gonna get into this one, but it is what it is. I discussed it in the previous segment a little bit, but we'll keep it going. I think it really depends on how the Minnesota Timberwolves are able to answer the call offensively. I think they can play defensively. I think they can hold the Thunder team a little bit. They can put them in a place, I wouldn't say a tough place, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if they gave it to the Thunder, the same way that the Timberwolves gave it to the Lakers and the Warriors. At least the Lakers. I think the Thunder are. I think the physicality that the Timberwolves play with is going to be too much for the Thunder to handle. They go up against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are a little bit physical, but like maybe you could use an argument and say that's why the Grizzlies had an opportunity to win Game 3 and Game 4. I get it. No questions asked. But with the way the Timberwolves are able to shoot the basketball, the way they're able to get to the lane, what can't they do well? The way they're able to defend, what can't they do well? You have a leader in Anthony Edwards. You have a leader on the defensive end in Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert. Jaden McDaniels on the wing and Rudy Gobert anchoring the interior. You have Julius Randle, who's getting the label of playoff Randle right now with the way he's playing offensively for this team. He's playing phenomenal basketball. The way he played against the Warriors, he was a big reason why the Timberwolves ended up winning that series against the Golden State Warriors. Having multiple 20-point games, having a 30-point game, having a triple-double, having multiple double-doubles. The way he's able to play on all sides of the basketball, offensively, defensively, ball dominant, non-ball dominant, everything. He's just playing phenomenal basketball. No, there are no issues in his game right now. But yeah, all three of those guys that I mentioned, coupled with the depth that the Timberwolves have, I think they can give the Thunder a run for their money. I really think they can. From a Thunder perspective, I think it's all about your depth. I really think so. How are they going to match up with the depth of the Minnesota Timberwolves? I think Anthony Edwards and SGA will kind of cancel themselves out in terms of play. One game sometimes it'll be both of them just playing equally well. Sometimes it's one and the other. But regardless, I think it comes down to the depth for both of these teams. How is the depth going to show up? How is it going to show out? Is it going to be a big difference? Is rebounding going to be a thing in this series? Is it going to be the defense of the Oklahoma City Thunder the way that they were able to play in Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets? Are they going to be able to continue that trend? That's what it comes down to. I seriously believe that's what it comes down to. If you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, you have to figure it out offensively if you're going to beat this Timberwolves team. If they get stagnant offensively, I think the Timberwolves are going to jump on it. They're going to jump on it. And that's what they did against the Warriors. The Warriors lost their they got inconsistent offensively, especially late in games. You lost that reliable scorer in Steph Curry. I just think I like the Timberwolves more. Simply their experience. I think they have more of a team. I think they're playing incredibly well. I think they're probably playing the best basketball in the NBA right now. I really think so. The Timberwolves are. Plain and simple. And yes, I'm saying it now. If I had to pick a team to win the NBA championship right now, I'm picking the Minnesota Timberwolves. that's the team I'm rolling with. That's my pick as we continue on in the playoffs. I really did believe that the Clippers were going to knock off the Nuggets and then knock off the Thunder. And I really think if the Clippers had made it to the Thunder, I think they would have had a better chance than the Nuggets, just because of their depth and the way that the team is built. And I think the Timberwolves are just like the Clippers in the way that they're built. You have Anthony Edwards that's able to act like a Kawhi Leonard-esque. You could say Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels combined can be Kawhi. You have Rudy Gobert that's pretty much just like Ivica Zubac. You have Julius Randle who's playing just like James Harden. Different positions. James Harden plays the shooting guard. Randle plays the power forward, so opposite sides of the starting lineup. But they're both playing phenomenal basketball. I think I'm rolling with the Timberwolves to win this series in 7 games. I really think that they'll get it done. But regardless, we'll get a new champion crowned at the end of this regular season. Those are my pre-Final Four matchups as these conference finals get underway tomorrow. Tomorrow night is game 1 between the Thunder and Timberwolves, and we'll be right back here at 9 a.m. to preview that series and get into the game. We'll get more in deep about the actual game itself and discuss keys for both of these teams. But yeah, thank you for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us at the end of the day, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon, so we can continue to provide a better product for you guys as entertainment. You guys are a big part of what we do here at the GSMC Basketball Podcast and the Sports Network as a whole, and we appreciate each and every single one of you that spends your morning tuning in to this podcast and getting your basketball news here. For more content and updates, please remember to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat for more content and updates. This is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. No basketball tonight, unfortunately, but we'll be right back here at 9 a.m. for more GSMC basketball content. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Mondays. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't